So Teofimo Lopez has decided to chime in on the recent Shakur Stevenson, Javier Herrera back and forth. This narrative that Shakur's been ducking this guy, and he could have picked him as a late replacement for the Kid Austin fight, which Kid Austin had pulled out 3 days before the fight. But nonetheless, all this stuff has been proven not to be true. But people are going to run with it, and Shakur Stevenson hate is not going to stop anytime soon. But nonetheless, Teofimo reposted an interview that Javier had done calling Shakur out, and Shakur obviously didn't like it. You know, he commented back and said, "Hey, Teo, let's make a fight between me and you. I'll come up to 140. Let's make it happen. We got the same people, this, that, and the other." Now, I think that would be a great fight. Stylistically, I would lean towards Shakur, but Teo is a champion at 140. He's got the lineal belt and the WBO belt. Shakur is a champion at 135. This would be the first fight that Shakur Stevenson would have at 140 if he were to move up. But all in all, it would be a great fight. The reason I would pick Shakur in this fight is just because he's a boxer. He's a master boxer. He's got slick defense, possibly the best defense in the sport of boxing right now. And Teo's been known to have troubles with boxers, especially ones that are able to use movement and move around the ring and that are slick. We saw him, obviously lose to Kambosos, who was a one-hit wonder. But we also seen him struggle against Sandor Martin and Jermaine Ortiz. Now, neither one of those fights were the most exciting fights. Sandor Martin actually dropped Teofimo Lopez, and then there was another knockdown that wasn't actually counted. But if you watch the replay, it looked like a knockdown. Nonetheless, a lot of people thought he lost that fight. And then you look at the Jermaine Ortiz fight, a lot of people thought he lost that fight as well. That fight in particular, though, wasn't the most exciting. Jermaine Ortiz he ran in a lot of people's eyes. He moved around the ring a lot. But one thing that exposed in that fight was Teofimo Lopez's lack of ability to cut off the ring. Now, Teofimo Lopez is a natural counterpuncher, and he does well against guys that are going to be coming forward and trying to press the issue. That's when we see him at his best. Now, Shakur Stevenson also is a counterpuncher, but he's a slick boxer. And I think stylistically, I got to lean towards Shakur. But I would love to see that fight. Another fight that's been talked about is Gary Antoine Russell, who just beat Rayo at 140 to win the WBA lightweight title, and Shakur Stevenson. Now, Gary Russell recently did an interview, and he responded back to talks of Shakur calling him out, and, he said it's a fight that he would make. I mean, those are two fights at 140 for Shakur that obviously are great fights that put him, as a 4-division champ. If he beats Teofimo Lopez, he claims that belt, the WBO, and the Ring magazine. And then if he fights Gary Antoine Russell, I want to say that's the WBA belt. But nonetheless, that would make him a 4-division champ, either one of those guys. Right now at 135, it seems to be that no one wants to fight him. He's been calling for a Gervonta Tank Davis fight. He's called for, up-and-coming guys like Zepeda, Lomachenko. I mean, he's not going to fight Keyshawn because that's his boy. But there's just a list of these top-notch guys that have names that are quote-unquote stars in the sport of boxing that he's called out and he's gotten ducked from. But, I mean, if you're not going to get any fights at 135, I don't see why it would be an issue to go to 140. Recently, he did an interview with Cigar Talk where he said 140 would be the highest he would go up in weight. It's the closest to his natural weight. He wouldn't be having to lose too many pounds to get down to that weight. But nonetheless, those are two great fights. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you favor in those fights? Hate, like, comment, subscribe. Till next time.